30 minutes to go all the way round, and from the top on a nice clear day you can see for more than 25 miles. It is the financial heart, not just of this country, but of Europe and arguably the world. It is home to the world's busiest stock market. You see the dome of St. Paul's Cathedral and the towers of the financial district. We're going to be going through that area a little later on. Court Art Gallery is a particularly fine gallery of mostly Impressionist art. St. Paul's, on the 29th of July 1981, that Prince Charles married Lady Diana Spencer in front of the largest TV audience the world had ever known. If you look up to the top of the dome, you'll see a gold cross. The other set of stones, pure brilliant white. Now, as I said, the year 1972, fairly unremarkable bridge. The most famous bridge, obviously, is Tower Bridge, and we'll see that over to our left. Now, if you look behind Tower Bridge, in the distance, you'll see some high land. That high land is Greenwich in southeast London. On the top of Greenwich Hill stands the old Royal Observatory, and running straight through the middle of that building. So we're on London Bridge, and most people know one or two things about London Bridge. They may know the nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down. That nursery rhyme is very, very old. It's in the 8th century. And the bridge was pulled down to stop Viking raiders from sailing up the River Thames. It in effect provided a barrier across the river to stop them raiding the City of London. And so that's where the nursery rhyme comes from. It's almost 2,000 years, well, it's 1,200 years old. So very, very old. Also, most people know that London Bridge is in Arizona. Now, there is a London Bridge in Arizona, the immediate predecessor to this bridge. They're only raised about 5 or 6 times a week, and you are very, very lucky if you see it. City Hall just over to our left. And already the building's got a couple of nicknames. It's called the Big Gherkin. Well, probably not aptly, it's known as the Towering Innuendo, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what may have been 1,000 years ago, I was telling you about Greenwich, eastern and western hemispheres of the globe. The hill just over to our right, about 3 miles further down the river. Now we're just crossing the central bastions of Tower Bridge. This is the part of the bridge that can be lifted to allow tall ships to pass beneath. You can go up there. It's part of the Tower Bridge exhibition. You do have to pay to go up there, and off the top of my head I don't know how much it costs, but you can go up there and you can walk across the pedestrianised walkways. Yeah, just over to our left we have the Tower of London. Has variously been a mint, an observatory, a zoo, an arsenal, a royal palace and a treasury. The only function that it still fulfills to this day is a treasury. It's there that the Crown... Only 22 people have been executed within its walls. And it's surprising to find out that 12 of those 22 people were actually executed during the 20th century. They were enemy spies that were shot during the First and Second World Wars. Of the remaining 10 people executed in the tower, 3 were the queens of this country. Anne Boleyn, second wife of Henry VIII. Catherine Howard, 5th wife of Henry VIII. and Lady Jane Grey, the 9-day Queen, they were all executed within the tower's walls. Now originally the Tower of London was surrounded by a water-filled moat. So where you can now see grass, that was up. Now only 22 people, as I said, were executed in the tower. Most people held prisoner and tortured there were executed on. We're just about to pull into our stop now for the London Eye. Now you hear Big Ben itself chime 12 times.
Well, pile on you and like peck you to death. Nothing left.
Give me a break.
Little picnic in St. James Park.
Standing upon the first 1,000 people who gave significant sums of money towards the rebuild of Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, a project dreamt up by the American actor and director Sam Wallace. When he noted that it might be a good idea to rebuild Shakespeare's Globe so we could perform Shakespeare's plays in the sort of space for which most of them had originally been written, one has to say that there wasn't a huge amount of enthusiasm. So you're standing on the first 1,000 people who gave money towards the project of rebuilding the Globe. I looked up everybody called Shakespeare at the phone and asked them here to a party. But once they got here and expected a cup of tea, they were stuck with some money. So that's why that was a swap. You have this timber framework made of oak, held together entirely with pegs, and the nail you see is superfluous. The panels in between are detachable, plaster panels, and take your eyes upwards past the wind holes to the and then very irritating. So when we stand here standing where you should stand. Ruled over in Shakespeare's time by a series of rather because in Shakespeare's first Globe Theatre, which was obviously the same size as our rebuilt one, the capacity audience would have been 3,000, which is an awful lot, isn't it? Originally there would have been 1,000 groundlings standing in the yard here. The groundlings were the poor people. They paid a penny, about £5 in today's money, and the penny stinkers, they were sometimes called for obvious reasons, and there would have been 2,000 people, you people, sitting in the three galleries there. And it set light to the roof, it set light to the thatch. And a man in the audience that afternoon in 1613, only 14 years after the theatre had been built, recorded that in under 2 hours the place had burnt to the ground. And we imagine that there must have been a capacity house of 3,000, and everybody got out of those narrow entrances and the 2 entrances which go upstairs, and there was only one near fatality, who was a young man about your age whose trousers caught fire, whose pants caught fire. And luckily for him, a man standing next to him was drinking a bottle of beer and saved his life by throwing the beer on his bottom and quenching the flames. That was the end of the first globe. And the second globe, I'm not going to bore you with because we haven't got time. It was a tiled building, so it couldn't burn down. It was eventually demolished by the horrid old Puritans from across the But in the fortune builder's contract, it says the dimensions and the decorations of the except if you count carefully, we've got one extra, but we've got 10. And their patron Apollo at the other end of the balcony, the god of everything noble and beautiful and profound in art. Close to us here is Mercury, the messenger of the gods, the inventor of language and the alphabet, and the great communicator. Above the stage we have Fame, blowing her trumpets, broadcasting the good news far. It was like hell, it was the underworld, where dead bodies got buried, where ghosts rose up from. In Hamlet, when the ghost of Hamlet's father starts talking from underneath the stage, you know he ain't a happy ghost because of where he's talking from. Above the earth you have the heavens. The heavens painted round about with the 12 signs of the zodiac, influencing what goes on earth beneath. In the middle of the heavens, there's another trapdoor which is open at the moment, and down from that, Shakespeare's credited with inventing 1,700 new words, which have found their way into the English language. They can't do that, you see, for the audience first time round. I mean, I think it's very easier for us. So that's how the theatre, I think, influenced the way the plays were written. But Shakespeare's company, Lord Chamberlain's, who became the King's Men, originally would have acted all the way through the year, winter and summer, for 8 years. But then I think even they were pretty glad to get an indoor theatre in Blackfriars afterwards. We, however, obviously don't act during the winter because nobody would come. So we put on plays in between May and September, and if any of you have been to the theatre, it is remarkable. It's like going back in time 400 years. It really is. It's unlike going to any other theatre I've ever been to. And the audience can get quite rowdy. But only 3 times in our 8-year history, the audience got so out of hand that the plays actually had to stop. And once on board the
Right.
and
You need to be quiet. There are other
and Henry V actually had to stop the play and say, please play football somewhere else. And the next time was cursing and swearing. And the security called, and they knocked him out just in time for the Red Cross, the St. John's ambulance, who came in with a wheelchair, and he fell into the wheelchair and was wheeled out of the and then last year in Romeo and Juliet, when I was there, that Romeo had just died in Romeo and Juliet, and as he died, a woman shouted out, "Help, help, my son has fainted," whereupon he jumped to his feet again. Said, "Is there a doctor in the house?" And there was, you see, so you never know what to expect when you come. When the Elizabethans went to the theatre, they said, "We're going to hear a play." Not we're going to see a play, we're going to hear. And wherever you are in this building, you get to sit down.
Because I'm asking you to make it down.
Don't you really? And there's always a play.
How's the show?
Oh gosh. Sad. Dramatic. With a modern twist. Very good.